All right, hello everyone, all of my friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Ashley Franklin, and I'm the author of Not Quite Snow White. Now, if you're not sure what that means I wrote the words to a book. Now, my book is a picture book. See that? But you'll also see someone else's name here, and her name is Ebony Glenn, and she's the illustrator. So what's that mean? That means that she drew the pictures. And believe you me, I think you're really going to enjoy the pictures of this book. Now, I have a favorite. The star of this book, her name is Tamika. Now, Tamika's going to go through some ups and some downs. So, I like to call the ups the happy moments, and the sad, they're the down moments, okay? So, while I'm reading, if you hear a happy moment, do you think you could give me a thumbs up? Now, when you hear a sad moment or one of those down moments, I would love it if you could give me a thumbs down. Together, we're going to see just how many times Tamika goes through those ups and those downs and how she gets through them. Here's a hint. Sometimes she needs the help of a friend. Okay, I'm going to read the story now. Are you ready? Here we go. Now I'm going to read, and I'm going to hold up the pictures after I'm done. Okay? Not Quite Snow White, written by me, Ashley Franklin, and again, illustrated by Ebony Glenn. Here we go. For Tamika, it was always the right time and place to dance and sing. Tamika had a hip rolling happy dance, a swayful sad dance, a stomping mad dance, and a hair flicking just because she felt fabulous dance. Take a look. I love her swan hat. You see that? This is my favorite picture in the whole book because I love her sunglasses. Aren't they fabulous? She sang high with the tweeting birds and low with the croaking frogs. She always shared her love of music and movement with an audience, stuffed and unstuffed. See how happy she is? I think she's having a good time, don't you? The unicorn? How many of you like unicorns? I love this treasure chest. Don't you feel like the things that are special to you, they belong in a treasure chest, right? Hmm. What would you keep in yours? Tamika loved the stage. It was her perfect place. She was a star of every show, and she loved every show that she starred in. She had been a cucumber, a space cowgirl, a dinosaur. Does anybody out there have a dinosaur growl? Let me hear it. Roar! And her favorite part, a singing mermaid. How many of you think you might know a singing mermaid movie? I know one. Were you thinking of the Little Mermaid? Me too. Love that dinosaur. Hey, that's an amazing costume. Is anyone dressing up for Halloween? I think Tamika might give you some ideas. On stage, Tamika felt like she could be anything or anyone she wanted to be. But she'd never been a princess. Now she would finally have her chance. Tamika was so excited that she went to both days of auditions for the Snow White musical. On the first day, She arrived super early. For how many of you is right now super early? Some of you roll out of bed. You might still have some yawns or want to stretch. Thanks for being here. Tamika helped friends with their lines. She kept count for the dancers, and she shooed butterflies from nervous tummies so songs could be sung. How do you think Tamika feels? I think she's feeling pretty good. Also, how do you think she's making her friends feel? I think she's making them feel pretty good too. Let's take a look. After the audition, Tamika heard some of the other kids whispering, "She can't be Snow White. She's too tall. She's much too chubby. And she's too brown." How do you think that made Tamika feel? I don't think those friends are using kind words. I don't think they're thinking about how those words might be making Tamika feel. If I was Tamika, this would be one of those down times for me. I would be feeling very sad. How about you? Let's find out what happens next. Tamika looked at her legs. They were long. Maybe the other kids were right. A princess shouldn't be taller than her prince. Should she? She looked at her belly. How many of you have a belly, belly, belly? You rub your belly? How many of you put breakfast in your belly this morning? You know what I love for breakfast? I love muffins. Blueberry is my favorite. So Tamika looked at her belly. Maybe what the kid said was true. She could not remember any chubby princesses. Tamika looked at her skin. She was brown. How could a girl with brown skin play a princess like Snow White? Could those kids be wrong? Maybe she was wrong for wanting to be this princess. You see Tamika? She's checking out her legs and her belly and her skin. We have all different kinds of skin, and I hope that you love the skin that you're in. Tamika, right now, she looks like she's feeling very down. Do you agree? Tamika slouched. She sucked in her belly. She tried pulling down her sleeves, but there was no getting around being brown. For the first time, she didn't feel like dancing or singing. Oh my goodness. Really, look at that. We have the friends on the bus. Have any of you been on a bus before? I used to ride the school bus when I was little. Look what's happening inside the bus. Oh my goodness. How do you think Tamika feels? Look at her face. I think her face is telling us that Tamika feels sad. I think that's one of those down moments, friends. One of her friends notices she might not be feeling her regular self. See what happened at home, okay? At dinner, Tamika didn't tap her feet or clang rhythms with her spoon. Is something wrong? Asked her mom. The other kids said I'm too tall, too chubby, and too brown. I'm not right for Snow White, said Tamika. You got it all wrong, Mom said. You are tall enough, chubby enough, and brown enough to be a perfect princess. Way to go, Mom. think mom's trying to make her feel better. How about that? How many of you have had a downtime when your mommy, she might have said something to make you feel better? I've had those times. When your mommy can make you feel better, or that special grown-up in your life, that's definitely a thumbs up moment. Let's not forget about the dads. Besides, said her dad, Snow White is just pretend. You've always been my real princess. You're just enough of all the right stuff. He kissed her forehead. Tamika smiled. Maybe her parents were onto something. Oh my goodness. Don't you love that? Look how happy Tamika looks now. Her special grown-ups, they made her feel amazing. At the audition the next day, Tamika watched all the other kids get on stage and do their best. Do their best? I love that. So, how many of you have ever tried to do your best at something? I hope it went well, because when you try your best at something, that's all that matters. It was Tamika's turn at last. She remembered what her parents had said, but her long legs were still a little jittery. Nervous, I think. She closed her eyes and she imagined she was singing and dancing for her favorite audience of friends, stuffed and unstuffed. Then she remembered the joy she felt when performing. Tamika knew she could do it. Let's take a look. You see? I think she's having a thumbs down moment here because she's so nervous. But then I think it changes a bit. And then I think we get a thumbs up. Look at her go. Go, Tamika. Let's see what happens next. And she did. She shone like the star she was. She could act. She could dance. She could sing. She loved herself as much as she loved music and movement. Let's just hold on right there. Did you hear that? Tamika loved herself. Go ahead. Let's take a minute. Let's give yourself a big hug. Squeeze a little bit tighter. You gotta feel it. You gotta feel it. Oh, that's amazing, huh? Love that. Let's look at that again. We got it. You see the stars in the background? Tamika is a star. She knew she could do it. I think you knew she could do it too. Tamika was a perfectly poised princess. When her audition was over, Tamika looked out to smiling faces. Let me see your best smile. I love it. Your smile is amazing. So, Tamika looked out to smiling faces. Tamika, she wasn't too much of anything. Look at those smiles. Those smiles. Maybe she was just enough of all the right stuff. Hey, do you remember the boy from the bus? Well, look who it is. Isn't that fun? And that, my friends, is the end of the story. Tamika got her happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. So, I think we have time to take questions. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to check the chat. Aw, thank you. I just want to say thank you because so many of you are showing love in the chat, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed this book. This was my first book, and I really put my heart into it. You might be wondering, that was a great question. I was just going to get into that. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron asked, where did you come up with the idea for the story? Well, buckle up. I'm going to let you know. So, did you notice these two things in the background? I'm going to go get them. Here we go. Whenever I write, I always think back to my heart, how I feel, and my mind. This is a brain. People usually think it's a whale, but I promise it's a brain. So, how do I use my heart and my mind to come up with this particular story? Well, when I was a little girl, I loved Disney princesses. And my absolute favorite was Belle. Of course it was Belle. I loved reading, I loved writing, but sometimes I felt like I didn't fit in all the time. So Belle was my absolute favorite princess. Now, over the years, as I grew up, I saw more and more princesses, like Princess Jasmine, and then eventually there was Princess Tiana, and I was so excited to see princesses that looked like me. But Princess Tiana, she wasn't a princess throughout the whole movie of The Princess and the Frog, if you've seen that movie. And I wanted to create a princess that stayed a princess. But how can you do that? So my idea was to create a little girl princess who was very relatable and had the excitement that many kids do when they find something that they love and they're good at. And so the only thing that I was good at when I was younger, honestly, was writing, and I loved to play. I was very shy. And so I wanted to create a character almost who was the opposite of me. So Tamika is bold and she loves singing and dancing in front of crowds. Me, I tend to be kind of shy. So I wanted to capture that vivacious spirit that so many of us see in kids inside of one character that looked like me. So for little girls who, like me, loved princesses and wanted to see themselves, they could see that. Also, hey, we have this idea of perfect. I wanted to show that all of us are created differently, and that doesn't make us any less perfect. That makes us perfectly us. So that is where I got the idea to write Tamika. And why'd I pick Snow White? Because honestly, I'd never seen a little brown girl or a brown woman play Snow White. So I wanted to know what that would be like. So again, thank you, Aaron, for asking that question. So Brad has asked, how long did it take you to write the book? That is a complicated question, Brad. Honestly, several drafts of this book were created, and the final product is very different from what it ended up being. But I want to say from the first draft to the time that it was actually accepted by the editor, I want to say it was about a year from start to finish. For many missteps and even through the submission process, all that in total took about a year. And for my younger friends who are watching, if you find it a little bit difficult, I want to tell you that I didn't write this story all at once. Not at all. It took me several different tries, many drafts. Some sentences I liked, some sentences I didn't like. Some ideas came later on, and some of them I had from the very beginning. It took me a while to find out which ideas I wanted to keep and which sentences really helped me get across the story that I wanted. So if you find yourself writing and you're struggling a little bit, or it's not coming as easy to you as you would like it to be, just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be perfect on the first try either, but stick with it, and those ideas will come out just how you want them to. I'm checking the chat again. Where can you find this book? If you would love to have a purchase of Not Quite Snow White for yourself, you can find this book at Wordsworth Books. I also want to say that I have signed some book plates. So if you order from Wordsworth, you will get a personalized message from me. One of my favorite sayings. I love positive messages, and so you'll get something that says something along the lines of, always shine like the star you are, because I love that. And I love the idea of always believing in yourself and being the best you that you can be. Checking the chat again. And also, if you're in the chat, we have a link to Wordsworth Books where you can actually buy the book. Oh my goodness. Someone said they're looking forward to my next book. Let me tell you about that. Well, if you really enjoyed Tamika's story, I have good news. I have a sequel, and it's going to be called Better Together Cinderella, and it's coming out next year. I don't have the exact date yet, but if you stay tuned to social media, and I have my website, ashleyfranklinwrites.com, I will be posting that information as soon as it's available to me. I just let you in on a little secret. I just saw the final artwork for it, and if you love these illustrations, you're going to adore the illustrations for Better Together Cinderella. We get to see Tamika in a whole new light. How? I've given her an extended family. Tamika's going to be a big sister. We'll see how she adjusts to not being the only star in her family. Checking the chat again. What are some of the best things you've heard from your readers? Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thanks again, Erin. I want to say that some of the best things I've heard are particularly from kids who tell me that they too have wanted to try out for a play, but they were too afraid, but they tried anyway because they wanted to be brave and they knew they could because they saw Tamika do it. Some of the most amazing things that I've seen so far in my young author career, I've had people dress up and send me the pictures on Instagram. And that is the most phenomenal feeling. And just to see a little girl saying, hey, I'm Snow White, I'm Snow White, after I personally had never, ever seen a brown Snow White, and just all little girls telling me that, after they read the story, that they knew that they were just enough of all the right stuff. I think that has become my favorite line in the book because so many kids and even adults have told me that that line really spoke to them. Do I have a Facebook? Yes, I am on Facebook as Ashley Franklin. I think if you do the search with like an at, it's at Ashley Franklin Writes. You can find me either way. But yes, I am on Facebook. Aw, thank you to Erin and your daughter Isabel. Isabel loves writing. She's writing her own comic book series, Diary of a Blue Jay. I love to hear when young readers are becoming writers because the more you read, the more you might want to write because you'll get more and more ideas. I think that the best writers are super good readers. Could I type my website in the chat? I absolutely can do that. I will type that right now. So I've typed my website in the chat. If you follow, I'm also on Instagram because, as I mentioned, people tend to send me pictures of their kids reading the book, and I absolutely adore that. So I'm also the same on there. I'm easy to find. I am scrolling through the chat again because I don't want to miss anyone. I'm really so appreciative that you would take time out of your day and your schedules to come be with me. So thank you so much. Okay, I'm scrolling, I'm scrolling, I'm scrolling. All right, it doesn't look like that I overlooked anyone because I would honestly feel so bad if I did. And so we're just about to the end. And so I want to leave you all with this, inspired by Tamika, of course. If there's ever anything that you want to try out, but you're unsure of yourself, you'll never know unless you do give it a try. Okay? Always believe in yourself. And also, we saw in Not Quite Snow White that there were some friends that said some not nice things in front of Tamika. Please, 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 kids, big kids, grown-ups, always remember that yes, you can say whatever you want, but your words have power. Always keep in mind that your words have the power to bring joy or they can bring hurt. Thank you all for coming. Stay safe. Thanks again.